Hello, hello. You are listening to the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network. There are so many critical ways to support Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. We rely on donations, we rely on our volunteers, and we also really rely on those who advocate for us and raise awareness for food insecurity. Well, this week, one young lady was added to the Junior Achievement of Western Pennsylvania's 18 under 18 class for the way that she advocates for us here at the food bank. And the cool person is she is the youngest person in this year's list to receive this award, to be inducted into this class. So I'm just so excited and overjoyed to introduce you to the 10-year-old, yes, 10-year-old, who is using her creativity to raise awareness for hunger right here in the Three Rivers region. So our interview with Michaela is coming up after the break right here on the Food Podcast. If you are listening, the Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network.
When you bank with Clearview Federal Credit Union, it's like having the best seats of the game, a parking spot right out front, more fries on your salad, or a drive through the tunnels with no traffic. Choosing Clearview gives you financial solutions for every need, a helping hand in the community, and honest, trusted financial advice from familiar faces in your neighborhood. At Clearview, we want you to enjoy a better life. Visit clearviewfcu.org, open a new checking account, and get up to $500.
It was amazing. It reminded me of the part where Jesus feeds the crowd of 5,000 with the fish. That saved our life.
Well, welcome back to the Food Podcast. If you are listening, the Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network. Maybe you woke up and you saw the news this week, and if you did, you saw the Junior Achievement of Western Pennsylvania officially announced this year's winners of its 18 under 18 class, and one of the winners is a young lady who won this award, who was placed in this class for all of the work that she's done to advocate for Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. Her name is Michaela Alaquiva, and she is 10 years old. She's actually joining us right now for the Food Podcast with her mom, Beth Burrell, who I know and love so much here at the Food Bank. We are so happy that you guys were able to join us today.
Yay! So glad to be here. Thanks, Krista.
Yeah, what an awesome accomplishment, because we know Michaela very well at the Food Bank because of all of the work that she's done with us. But Michaela, for everyone who's listening right now or maybe watching the Food Podcast, how about you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Michaela Alaquiva. I do a lot of segments for the Food Bank. I love to express how kindness should be shown and how kindness should be expressed to other people when it is needed the most.
Yeah, and it is needed in this time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much doom and gloom, and we love your little bubbly face. In fact, it's been on TV a few times, right? The way that you advocate for the food bank is really cool. Beth, I know that you're kind of the behind the scenes person. Tell us a little bit about the things that Michaela's done in partnership with the food bank, and especially since you work with the food bank, how does that really make a difference to those who are living with food insecurity in our region?
Yeah, well, I've been at the food bank now for about 7 years. So Michaela really has grown up in some ways at the food bank. And what's so interesting is that she really stepped up during the pandemic is when this all started. And we started doing cooking segments that would support our fundraising initiatives here at our house. And those all aired on Pittsburgh Today Live. And it just picked up so well that now she's got a sort of a following between the ages of like 3 and 100. Whoever watches PTL, I hear so many times that people's kids really love seeing her on TV and want to do these recipes and get in the kitchen with their parents. So it really resonates with people of all ages.
Yeah. And how did that get started, Beth? I mean, why did this idea to start doing these segments and pitch that idea to PTL? How did that come to life and come to fruition?
Yeah, this was really a joint partnership idea to support the Katie Turkey Fund and the Feed the Kids Telethon that happened in June and like the October and November time period. And Michaela really latched onto that in a way where she's created recipes that celebrate those holidays, but also are super kid friendly. As you may know, or anybody knows who watches PTL, they regularly have chefs on, but those chefs are sharing recipes and ideas that are designed for adults. So Michaela really wanted to make sure that she was bringing families together, and especially kids, into the kitchen to engage with the parents, and also remembering that there are so many families across the region who are struggling with food insecurity, and there's something that everybody can do to really help.
Yeah, that is so true. And Michaela, obviously, this is such a big deal for you. You're the talent. You get to do all of this stuff behind the scenes. And I know you have a big heart for the food bank as well. So, why do you think getting involved in the community is so important?
I think getting involved in the community is important because it's important to make sure not just everyone has what they need, but everyone can do different things and they can express different things, as I said earlier. But I think it's really important so then other families who don't have as much as I might have or as my mom might have, I think it's important to make sure that they can live with some food too from the food bank.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. And Michaela, I know I personally love hearing your little voice. You've been such a great partner with me for putting together commercials for summer youth cafes where kids are able to go get free meals or meals at no cost during the summer months whenever they're not getting them at school. And you are really comfortable in front of the camera. But is that your favorite part about working with the food bank, being able to use your personality and your skills with us?
I think that's one of them. And another one of them is that I can make a lot of different foods and I get to try them. And I get to try a lot of different foods that I get to make. And fingers crossed that other people will find an inspiration from that.
Yeah, what kind of foods have you made? And what was your favorite recipe that you've made? Because obviously you get to taste test everything, right?
Yeah, probably my favorite one that I've made was the chocolate turkeys and the chocolate pilgrim hats.
Oh, yeah. That was such a great segment that you did. Right after Halloween, too, right? That you were able to use all of the sweets to make little turkeys, which was so cool. Michaela, so you're 10 years old, right? And this is a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes into what you do, right? A lot of meaningful stuff that not a lot of other kids might maybe thinking about. So what would you say to other kids your age so that they can also get involved in the community and you know, make a difference themselves? What would you say to other kids, Michaela?
I would probably say the most. I think crafting is really good, a really good way to express a lot of things. And then you can make crafts for like people's birthdays and express in different ways about how you want to celebrate their birthday, or talk with your parents about what you think they could help you with different types of crafts.
And I know that's such a cool idea that you and your mom talk about these things a lot, right? And you're able to put together projects and ideas, which I think is so cool to have in a family. And I know one of the cool things about getting added to this class, Michaela, is that they asked you to use one word to identify yourself, which is like very intimidating, right? Like, how do I figure out one word to describe myself?
Yeah.
Tell us about the word that you chose and why you chose it.
I chose the word "and" because I thought that I couldn't be described as one word or this word or another word, because I can't be described as one word. And I encourage other kids and other people of all ages to continue saying to themselves, I cannot be described as one. I can be described as multiple.
Yeah, she really latched onto this word and realized that, she's more than just one thing. So now is really using that platform to encourage other people to think about how they can expand who they are and what they do and think about themselves in new ways, so that the question she's posing to people is what?
What is your and? What can you be described as, this and that? What is your and?
When I think about you, I really do think about that, that you do have that and. Even we're speaking now, but you're able to do sign language as well, right? Tell me a little bit about that and what all you've been able to do by using sign language.
I do a lot of signing with my mom. When we're playing the silent game, we'll sign for each other for hours. And I can do like my name, my mom's name. I could ask a lot of questions. I can describe myself with sign language because I think it's important to make sure everyone can be not just heard, but can be seen.
And Mom, you were able to, Michaela had a really big platform to showcase that in the past couple years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting in that she's been taking these sign language classes because she wants to understand other people better and be able to communicate. And it's really benefited us as well in that, like, she could be across the football field and we can sign back and forth and understand what we're having, a full-blown conversation without having to use words.
Yeah, I can do that.
So we'll do that a lot. But during the social unrest in 2020, her sign language classes and the things that she was doing inspired an Unspeakable video, which was around the Black Lives Matter movement, that ended up receiving an Emmy Award. So, it's funny how her energy and the things that she's interested in has translated to this positive energy just surrounding her and inspiring other people to do things that are just continuing to have that ripple effect and inspire other people. And I think it just goes to show that, it takes a village to raise a child. The food bank family that we have has really shaped and had a really huge imprint on who she is as a person. But the community as well that surrounds her, it just continues to inspire and put energy into her, really has resulted in this ripple effect of seeing other things like this happening.
Yeah. And I know, Michaela, we do have people that are listening to the podcast, but if you're listening, we also have a video format of this too. So Michaela, can you show us some sign language real fast? Can maybe even just say your name in sign language?
Yeah.
And what was the translation on that?
Hi, my name is Michaela.
Well, Michaela, it was so great to have you on the Food Podcast today. So much fun. And I know this is not going to be the last time that you'll be on camera, and we're grateful for that. So keep up the good work. And from all of us at the Food Bank, we're just so proud of you. And we're so grateful that you're able to advocate for us even at 10 years old. So we're so excited for you. And we're so happy you were able to join us today with your mom.
Thank you. How do you say thank you? Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Well, on that note, it is our sign to now go to a commercial break. If you are listening or watching, this is the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network.
When you bank with Clearview Federal Credit Union, it's like having the best seats of the game, a parking spot right out front, more fries on your salad, or a drive through the tunnels with no traffic. Choosing Clearview gives you financial solutions for every need, a helping hand in the community, and honest, trusted financial advice from familiar faces in your neighborhood. At Clearview, we want you to enjoy a better life. Visit clearviewfcu.org, open a new checking account, and get up to $500.
When you can't get around and it's hard to walk, it just makes you feel like you're worthless. And this just helps me feel like I'm worth something.
Welcome back to the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trip Live Podcast Network. So much fun having Michaela on. If you are listening, I want to remind you all that she is only 10 years old. She's so wise beyond her years and stepping up. And a lot of kids, they can do this. It doesn't really matter how small you are. If you empower them, give them the right tools, they can step up and be such a powerful voice. And we've seen that with Michaela, that people listen and they stop and they say, what? Wow, that's so interesting. And she's such a powerful advocate for us because of her age and because of her passion and because a lot of people we serve are families, they're kids. And it's such a big deal here in the Three Rivers region. A lot of people have been asking us recently what the need is like right now, and it's still higher than it was before the pandemic, but we're seeing things shift. And when I say that, I mean, when people call our call center, which is the main way people can call us, if you're looking at the bottom of your screen, it's a way that they call, we connect them to food resources, but also we ask a couple of follow-up questions like, well, what's going on in your life? What's causing you to struggle to pay for your groceries or to find food resources? And we hear a lot about the root causes of food insecurity. A big portion of that has been the job market. It's been unemployment, it's been housing, it's been medical needs. But more and more, especially in the past few months, we've been hearing people tell us that their heating bills, these unexpected heating bills, are just spiraling their lives right now. That the cost of these cold temperatures is dramatic. And if you listen to last week's episode of the Food Podcast, if you missed it, I encourage you to go back and listen to it because we talk about how the cost of natural gas this year is really having a massive impact on folks right now, especially those folks like seniors who live with a fixed income sometimes. The gas bill is one that fluctuates and it is just overwhelming some families, and people are cutting groceries out of their life, and food is life, food is love. So if you're able to hear about that or get connected to us, we have some ways that we're assisting families through the LIHEAP program, which helps supplement those gas bills, those heating bills, so people don't have to make that impossible decision, heat or eat, as we call it. But next week, we'll be diving into a very serious topic. I encourage you to listen to that. We'll be talking about domestic violence and some really interesting things that I don't think the public hears about too often when it comes to food insecurity and the connection, the very strong connection that exists between food insecurity and domestic violence in our area and all across the country. So that's coming up next week. But for now, we're going to wrap things up. If you are listening, this is the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trip Live Podcast Network.